Pretty common to have one of these razor plugs in older apartment buildings. Some houses, they do make a plate that can accept a ground fault circuit interrupter, GFCI. There's a back plate and a trim plate. I usually buy them from Home Depot or Rona, stuff like that. And there's a few tools that come in handy. If you have a non-contact power testing pen, it'd be a wonderful thing. And if you had a circuit checker to tell you if things are wired correctly, it's a good little backup. It also pays to have a razor knife, because usually you don't want to tear the paint, and the painters have often painted these in. So I run my knife to make a weak point in the paint to prevent tearing the paint or the paper. And often it would have lifted by now. There we go. Really, you don't want to have to repaint the wall just because you're changing an outlet. So you remove the 4 screws. In here you'll find a transformer. Avoiding having this towel ring somewhere challenging. Always nice when people are inventing their own I'm also going to run my knife under this one because I can see that it's painted in place. And I don't know if you've ever seen a paint tear, but it usually goes for a long ways. And they're a pain to fix. So by creating a weak point, you make it a lot easier on yourself to remove the plate. Now, I know that these screws have the holes that you can just tilt the plate. Usually on these older ones, I find it best to just outright remove them. Wow, that's a long one. Like I said, painted in place. Now, often I will replace these morettes as well. Just I find the older ones likely to get brittle. The important thing of this is that one of the rules for wiring is hard wiring always must be twisted, pre-twisted, and the connecting ones are usually stranded and they just go straight into the moret, sort of equal with the tip, and then screw the moret on. Morets come in many sizes, so there are 3 different sizes in this bag, and it'll usually tell you how many wires will fit in minimum or maximum into the moret. Basically, I know I want a couple of yellows for this, because Remember we talked about that non-contact power? And there should be nothing on the neutral. White is neutral, black is hot, and we have no ground coming out. So we're going to need to add a ground. So sometimes it pays to have an extra chunk of wire that you can strip a ground out of. Being that this is a GFCI, ground faulting is pretty important. What I don't really love is I don't have a lot of places. When you bend something to go over a screw, the loop should always go in the direction that you're going to tighten. So in other words, the loop should go to the right. Now I have a ground attached to the existing grounds. Now, when I cut off that extra wire, I left two short ones here. Let's see. I have power moving on. I have power coming in. This is going to go to the outlet. Because there's a second wire here, power is going somewhere else. One of the reasons I left the power on was so that I could determine if that is the bathroom. And if it is considered load, and I can GFCI protect it all. And it is the bathroom. So, that's going to make things challenging for making a video. A little supplemental lighting. Now, simplest way would normally be just to pigtail off this and GFCI only the outlet. That means when you touch the light switches, things like that, the fan. See if the fan is not on there, only the light switch is on there. So you can't do it perfect anyways. You want to know which one's hot? Here's my hot, non-hot. Good. So you are going to go directly into the GFCI. Now there's generally quite a few ways to connect wires to this. Some of them have a hole you can poke down. Myself, I prefer these where they have a separate plate. So when I undo the screws for this, by the way, it will tell you here, line, that means power, and load, that means the light. And here you can see on this one there's a plate, like I said, that you can slide the wire in between and then tighten the two down, and it does a sandwiching. Brass terminals, black wire only. Chrome terminals or gray terminals, neutral wire or the white wire only. Oops. Wrong wire, wrong screwdriver. Snug that up for the moment. Some people just cut these off and just strip a new one. But it depends on how much wire you have left in the box. So this is the light, so this goes to the what's known as the load. So the light and the outlet are both controlled, or pardon me, protected against ground faults. Usually always done within a meter of water. I won't be able to, I'd need to call an electrician in to deal with the fan. If that wanted to be added to this, that would be complicated. So my line's now on the bottom, my load's now on the top. Okay, now, so how am I going to figure out which one is which? The wires come in two different groupings. I know that my line attached here goes to this side, so the matching wire, matching white, would be the matching neutral. Don't like how that one went in. A little too much insulation in there. And lastly, remember this is my hot. Now my neutral, or pardon me, my ground goes to the bottom wire, or pardon me, the bottom green screw. And again, remember the direction you're going to turn the wire, or the screw to tighten it, is the direction of your loop. I don't like how that's going together, so I'm going to trim my wire a little more. Now, this thing is dangerous. So anyways, now we have a working GFCI, and if we want to confirm that it is wired correctly, and we put this little sucker in here, and we can see two bright orange lights, which is wired correctly. Red is off. And then if you want to test the GFCI, you just press the button on a GFCI tester and it will trip it so that you need to press the reset again. These kind of suck to put on sometimes. And you should probably, by the way, not do this stuff live. I'm just too lazy to make the long walk. What I'm doing is I'm checking where the plate lines up, the screw hole sort of thing. I need it to be this way. So the screw hole ends up at the right place. That was me getting shocked, by the way. Which I tend to do too often. Now we had a long screw down here. I'm a real copycat. I put long screws back where long screws came from, and short screws where short screws came from. Now you could say, well, geez, Donnie, why would you do that? Well, I've learned that sometimes you put a long screw in a box, you could end up, an overly long screw, you could end up pinching wires underneath and causing yourself headaches, needing to diagnose, stuff like that. So now our plate is in. And we can put our GFCI back in. Some people tape around the screws. It's not really in the electrical code. So again, I don't get creative. And I put it in just exactly as it came out usually. And it touched that time. Sort of sucks when screws don't want to thread very well, especially considering electrical screws are designed to be a little better. They're tapered, so they find their own thread normally. That looks like today. I need to do my own. Huh. So we have done something already. I'm not sure why my GFCI is tripping now. I will need to find out. Could be. Yeah. The ground wire that I put in folded and touched. See that ground? So that was touching the screw. Now, pull it out completely. We do such long, we need to do longer pigtails for these. So generally you fold the wire as you're putting it in. And sometimes something like that can happen. You just need to back out, start over, and do it again. Oh, I was getting a backache from these. I like to bring a level with me, because after I've installed it, before I've fully tightened it down, it's nice to put the trim plate and everything straight. Took a long time for this one to find its threads. Home wrecker. It's a bloody home wrecker. And then lastly, we're going to need to put the trim plate in once we find a rag. thing I despise about these plates is they all rust on the edge. I don't know why they don't make them out of stainless steel. Maybe because they don't get to sell a lot of them. And if they made them good, well, people would not be replacing them. It's about the best I can do for that. They also stick out from the wall just a hair, which when you're doing the caulking or any silicone stuff, not silicone, pardon me, paintable caulking, let me fix that right away. There's a difference between paintable caulking and silicone. Because this is a painted surface, you would only use a paintable caulking. And I will show you what I mean. Why the plate sticks out a little bit. See that gap? Hard to see here, but that's the gap.